All right, you guys, I am so excited to bring to you an expert interview with somebody today who is just really like-minded with me. We are on the same track. Dr. Mariza Snyder is a passionate advocate for women's health and wellness and an essential oils lover, just like I am. She is an expert, though. I mean, far more of an expert than I am. She's just written a book called The Smart Mom's Guide to Essential Oils, and we're going to talk about that. We're also going to give she is also going to give some just great practical advice for anyone who's interested in hormonal health and women's health and how there are some natural solutions to help with that. So you want to say hi, Mariza?
Hello.
Wonderful. I'm going to introduce Mariza briefly, and then she'll take over from there. So Dr. Mariza Snyder is a passionate wellness practitioner and public speaker with over 8 years of experience focusing on women's hormone and menopausal health. So this is really interesting to all of y'all, I know. Dr. Mariza leads a community of women who educate about nutrition, detox programs, self-care rituals, and essential oils. She graduated cum laude from Life Chiropractic College West in 2008. She has a background in biochemistry and certifications in nutrition and aromatherapy. So seriously, this gal knows her stuff. She became passionate about women's health after her own health crisis. Through functional medicine, whole foods, and self-care practices, she was able to heal her adrenal dysregulation, fatigue, and chronic migraines related to hormone imbalance. So I'm really excited to get into that, Mariza. I can't wait to hear more. Currently, she serves as an educator on topics relating to women's hormone health, and she's the creator of Women's Balance Summit and author of five best-selling nutrition books. The DASH Diet Cookbook, which was featured on Dr. Oz, how cool, the Low Glycemic Index Slow Cooker, the Antioxidant Counter, the Water Infusion Detox Book, and the Matcha Miracle. She currently finished her 6th book, The Smart Mom's Guide to Essential Oils, and you can check her out at her website, drmariza.com, for women's hormone and menopause tips, including recipes and remedies, and I will link to that in the notes below the video. So that was wonderful, and I'd love to actually hear from your own mouth what was the health crisis that really brought you this direction? I'd love to hear about that.
Absolutely. Well, it really stems from, to give a little bit of context, my mom and my grandmother dealt with really severe hormone issues. So I come from a lineage of hormone chaos. And it was very taboo, that conversation. I didn't know at the time when I was growing up that my grandma had issues. And I remember always wondering to myself, what was happening to my mom? She wasn't eating there was a lot, it just didn't make sense when we were growing up. My mom would just really have these really, weight gain, swinging mood swings and exhaustion. I just didn't really understand what was happening with her. And so as I got older, I also grew up with this. My mom was a single mom, and I always, watching her work so hard and watching her really show up for people, I really thought that my worth was judged or determined on how much I did for other people. And so I worked really hard, way back, since I can remember, I always had a lot on my plate. I was always pushing myself really, really to challenge and to get more things done. There was never not enough to do. So I was always working on that. So I would say right when I was getting my doctorate, in my late 20s, I was juggling work, I was juggling a home, I was juggling everything you could possibly imagine, and I literally just hit the wall. And I remember the moment, I woke up after what was 8 hours of sleep, and I literally could not pick my head up off the pillow. I was absolutely exhausted. And not that there wasn't warning signs. I had chronic migraines, I had pain, I was tired all the time. I was falling asleep in class. There was all of these clear red signs, these kind of buzzers going off, and I wasn't paying attention until finally I just hit the floor, just hard. And it took about a year to recover from all of this, to get my body back on track, to feel like I was normal again. It literally felt like I was not at home in my own body. I was a stranger in this thing that wasn't working for me at all. It was completely working against me. And so I realized a lot of the changes I had to make were letting go of things that were not serving me, eating properly for my body, getting my hormones back on track. So I had definitely adrenal deregulation, I had estrogen dominance, and just a lot of things were falling apart. My thyroid, I started seeing antibodies for my thyroid. I could tell I was in a lot of trouble. And so I spent the last, about a year and a half getting myself back on track. and then recognized that the majority of women that I was serving every day had very similar situations that I had gone through, and everyone was at a varying degree of what that looked like. And so I was so grateful for the opportunity to get myself back on track and to really learn that lesson. And are there days that I definitely slip and too much is on my plate or we're working too hard? Yes. And so I have to rein myself back in. And so much of my life is my lifestyle to ensure that I can continue to show up for people and still do the big things that I want to do. And one of the biggest players in all of this has definitely been essential oils. So I'm so excited to have that conversation with you today.
Yeah, I cannot wait. So yeah, what was the first kind of thing that brought you to essential oils? I'm just curious. How did you learn about them?
Absolutely. So two things. One, I wanted to make over my home. One of the things I knew about estrogen dominance and hormone imbalance is that toxins, right? Phytoestrogens, sorry, not phytoestrogens. Those are the good things. Sorry, parabens, phthalates, basically all of the toxic chemicals that are in cleaning products, personal care products, even in our food, I knew had a detrimental effect on me. And honestly, I couldn't afford any more chemicals in our home or in my body. So that was one of the reasons why I jumped into, wanted to know, like, how do we begin to replace all of this? And how do we replace it easy and seamlessly? And so that was one of the things. And then also one of the areas that I didn't recover from after my adrenal deregulation was the fact that I was still chronically getting sick. Like I was getting colds and flus, and I could not shake it. So if we had any toddler, any child in our office, and they saw me and they had a cold, I caught it. And so I found myself, I felt like maybe I just had like a low disposition in terms of my ability to keep my immune system up. I kind of just gave up. I'm like, well, I guess I'm destined to be sick all the time, despite all of my yoga and my supplements and everything that I was doing. So I just resided to the fact that I was always going to be sick. And so a good friend of mine introduced me to two of the oils right out the gate. It was a protective blend. And then the other one was wild orange. And these were both immune system boosting oils. So I started using these oils on the bottom of my feet. I would add them to my tea. I'd put them in capsules and take them because they were internally safe to take. I was very careful about how I took them. We were diffusing them in the house. And for almost 3 years, I think I almost made it to 3 years, I did not get sick once. And so that was a major game change for me. Like I went from just thinking I was always going to be sick forever to not being sick for almost 3 years. And I've only probably been sick in the last 5.5 years, like maybe twice. And one was right before my wedding. So I really feel like, stress for the wedding, it can be a little bit much.
That can take you down. That's incredible. So you've been using essential oils for about 5 years then, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. That's wonderful. The immune support is incredible. And for anyone that doesn't know what essential oils are, can you give maybe the super nutshell version? I think most people watching probably do, but...
Absolutely. So it's so funny. I talk so much about that in my book because that's exactly what I want people to understand. A lot of people don't really understand what essential oils are. So they are volatile aromatic constituents that are found on the plants, all over the plants. So the stems, the leaves, the flowers, the bark, all over these plants. And they are what I consider to be the plant's beautiful medicine cabinet. Mm-hmm. And they have the ability, so all of these hundreds of constituents, actually over 3,000 identified constituents right now. But these constituents, because of the way that they function in plants, they work with our biochemistry to create balance and synergy in our bodies, and they actually work on a cellular level. So when I talk about that protective blend, I did my research on the oils in that blend, the cinnamon, the clove, the eucalyptus, the rosemary. I knew all of these oils had the ability to go inside of the cell and really help to protect it from any environmental and pathogenic threats. I also knew that it was wonderful at helping to boost the immune system, so the macrophage and the T cells, so it was a twofold process that these oils were working on. And so that's what's so exciting about it, is that it's the chemistry. You think about all of those little mini constituents are designed to work with our body to heal in a really profound way.
It's so incredible. It's always amazing to me. And yes, I have to say the book, because I've read the book. It's awesome. There's so much wonderful information, and I can tell. I mean, I really recommend it to anybody. But I want to go into hormones, if you're comfortable with that. I want to talk about that a little bit because my understanding is that certain essential oils can actually be used to help with hormonal balance in individuals. So can you talk a little bit about that, about how that works and what kinds of oils maybe are used for that purpose?
Absolutely. So yes, so essential oils can support hormones. One of the most impactful ways that essential oils, and I'll dive into exactly what oils can support what essential oils support which hormones. But what I want to lay the groundwork for is why our hormones get out of whack to begin with. And for the very big reason why they got out of whack for me was high levels of stress. And we think about how aromatherapy and essential oils have an ability to impact and reduce stress levels in a matter of minutes. Like there's so much research on clary sage, bergamot, ylang-ylang, and clearly lavender. All of these oils have been studied to reduce heart rate, pulse rate, lower cortisol levels, almost instantaneously. And why that happens is when you breathe in an oil, when you breathe in, I'm looking at all of my oils over there, but I don't think I have, those are all unopened bottles. When you breathe in an oil, I know you have that.
I have my diffuser going right now. It has clary sage, lavender, and rosemary.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so when you breathe an oil in, it connects right into the limbic brain. And that's really important to understand because the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the hypothalamus reside there. So if you're looking to really make powerful changes with hormones, you got to start with where all of that conversation happens, right? And so what I love, what a lot of people don't recognize is that because we have the ability to connect right into that part of the brain, we have the ability to really help balance out and really communicate with the hypothalamus, who is sending direct messages to the pituitary gland, who is then sending messages to the endocrine glands, your thyroid, your adrenals, right, your pancreas, your ovaries, and then that affects all of the rest of what the body is doing. And so a big piece of why, when someone is dealing with thyroid conditions, maybe you've got a weakened thyroid, or maybe it's even Hashimoto's, always they tell you have to work on the adrenals, because oftentimes the reason why the thyroid is out, it could be toxicity, it could be a lack of nutrients, but most of the time, and toxicity, but a lot of the time it's always interconnected with our ability to manage stress, how our adrenals are functioning. Because when our adrenals are overtaxed and it's spewing cortisol and epinephrine and adrenaline, one of the biggest places we're going to get hit, or it's going to take a hit, is going to be the thyroid. But again, you can give your thyroid all the selenium and the iron and everything that it supposedly needs to work. However, if you're not addressing the core root of the problem, which is really the stress levels and the adrenaline, then we're not really going to make the type of response that we're going to want. Also, you should recognize that when we affect the adrenals, our progesterone levels take a hit as well. And this is exactly what happened to me. So my adrenals were overtaxed. And when my body needed to be forced to make more cortisol, the precursor that makes progesterone gets shunted so that we can make more survival hormone. Well, what happens is your progesterone lowers, your estrogen increases, so you've got that estrogen dominance. And so a lot of this, again, it's really about that, okay, where is the core root of the problem? For most women that I meet, and not all women, but usually stress is playing a major role in this conversation. And so how do we begin to mitigate stress? Well, I think one of the things that I've recognized, and lots of antioxidants, a plant-based diet, self-care rituals, gratitude journaling, letting go of all the junk you do not need in your life, becoming very self-aware of all of that's important. But the number one game change that I have found to be the biggest mover in reducing stress in the body is using powerful plant-based essential oils. Yeah. So you can really begin to mitigate some of that stress and start to create healthy habits around utilizing oils. And it's simply as easy as breathing an oil in. So that's going to be the critical piece in all of this conversation. So I had to lay the groundwork for that first.
I'm so glad you did. That was wonderful. I mean, it really makes a strong connection between exactly getting to the root of the problem versus just saying, oh, this oil makes thyroid hormone or makes progesterone in your body. Like you're saying, that's not necessarily what's going on. It's getting to the root of the problem and addressing the underlying causes like stress as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's typically usually the tipping point for so many of us. It was the tipping point for my mom. It was a tipping point for me, and it's usually the tipping point for so many other women. And unless that's addressed as well, you can slather all the progesterone cream, and you can use the estrogen patch, and you can take the thyroid medication, and you can do all of that. But you're not getting to what is really the situation. And until you address, how am I managing? How is my body responding to stressful stimulus, to my crazy, 24-hour connectivity, to my family drama, to my money drama, whatever it may be? It's all there. Again, you're still driving the same organs, and you're driving through the relationship between the hypothalamus all the way down to the adrenals. So I've always wanted to be able to manage to talk about that, and oils for that. So your best go-to oils for that are very similar to the ones that you're diffusing right now. So again, lavender, clary sage, Roman chamomile, ylang-ylang, bergamot, all of these oils have been tested time and time again in research, in hospital settings, in multiple settings, to create that balance that we're looking for to lower our stress levels. And especially, it's when those moments where you're feeling overwhelmed, or you're that moment where you don't feel focused, or you feel like your heart is racing a little bit. We all know what that feeling feels like.
Yes, we do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That moment you got to grab an oil. So I always tell women, have an emergency oil pack on you. And if you were to look at my emergency pack, which is in my purse right at the moment, it's a lot of emotional oils. It's hormone oils. It's a lot of oils to help manage stress, because that's usually what I'm trying to reach for if I find myself late to a meeting and I'm stuck in traffic for 10 minutes and I'm trying to get where I need to go, and I could feel it rising, right? My adrenals are saying, oh, no, you don't. Like, I don't need to crank a bunch of hormones out right now because you're late for a meeting. If there's not a tiger, coming after us, behind us. So it's those moments, I think, for so many women that we've got to check ourselves. And that's what I love about an oil, is that all we need to do is really go from here, that moment of stress, that moment of a little bit overwhelmed, and just we need to shift a little bit. And it takes just a matter of seconds. And so what I recommend to women is you have a blend, and I've got a lot of blends to share. Yeah. So let's just say it's my Stress Buster blend. So I pre-make all of my blends. They're in empty. I keep empty bottles everywhere, right?
By the way, I'm getting ready to make some notes. So
yeah.
I'm hoping that you're going to share some recipes. I'll make some notes, and then
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I keep the Stress Buster blend in a little empty vial, like basically like a size like this, right? And something like that.
Would this size work? Like a 10 milliliter rollerball? Okay.
A 10 milliliter roller bottle. Okay. So it would be 20 drops of lavender.
Okay.
20 drops of bergamot. This is in a 10 ml bottle if we were to do that. And then 10 drops of frankincense. Now this blend has been researched and demonstrated to lower stress levels in a matter of like 30 seconds to 60 seconds. So what I would do is, if it's in a roller bottle, I'll just take one of my little fancy roller bottles over here. So it's been in a roller bottle. This actually has my Superwoman Blend in it. I'll have to share that recipe in a moment. So what you're going to do is it's going to roll over your hand, because you just want it on your hand. That's what you want. Because again, we want to get right into that limbic brain, path of least resistance. And you're going to put it in your hands like this. And what I recommend is I call it the power of pause. And we're going to do 5 pauses. Now I'm not going to demonstrate all 5 pauses on this call, but I'm going to do one for you. And so the oils are on my hands. We're connecting to reflex points and meridians. So great that it's there. You're going to breathe it in. You're going to take one deep breath. So belly breath. Feel it all the way down here. Because when you're stressed, you're only breathing in this little box right here, right? Yeah. So right into the bottom. And you're going to take one deep belly. Well, you're going to take 5 total, but let's start with the 1. And you're going to hold it for 3 seconds. And you're going to breathe out your nose. And you're going to repeat that 4 more times. And I promise, no matter what state you're in, no matter what you're dealing with, this is going to take you from here all the way to really shutting that down. Because remember, when we're in a stress cascade, it's literally like this catch-22. It can be really hard to get out of it. You just crank in hormones, and it just gets really messy very quickly. And so this will literally take you out of that cascade. And I love that ability to to be able to mitigate a stressful situation at any given time. Because let's be honest, we're much better functioning when we are not stressed, right?
Yeah.
We can show up better, we're more focused, we're more concentrated, and our body is able to function at a very higher manner. Okay, so that's where we start.
That is awesome. Okay, do you have another amazing recipe that you'd like to share with us?
Absolutely. So if indeed we're looking to create hormone synergy, because we are always looking to balance estrogen and progesterone. So this is my hormone, I call it my Superwoman Blend. It's one of my absolute favorite blends to share, and it is really about creating that estrogen and progesterone synergy. What's helping to boost the progesterone in here, which is kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for a little bit of a progesterone boost, is the clary sage and the ylang-ylang. I also love the geranium in this blend because it's wonderful for helping to support the adrenals at the same time. But geranium is also just a very powerful, wonderful blend for women. It serves us with our adrenals. It serves us with estrogen. It helps the liver to metabolize estrogen metabolites in the body as well. It helps to reduce stress, and it's just a wonderful oil all in all. So here is the blend. So it is 12 drops of clary sage.
Okay.
And it's in a roller bottle as well, so you just need a little roller bottle blend. 12 drops of clary sage, 10 drops of lavender, 5 drops of cedarwood. And cedarwood's really interesting. It's not only a very calming oil, but it actually helps to really drive these oils deeper to create the change that you're looking for. 5 drops of geranium, if I didn't say that already, and 4 drops of ylang-ylang. And so you put those all into a roller bottle. You top it off with fractionated coconut oil or jojoba oil or whatever oil you prefer, whatever carrier oil. Mix it up. So this is it right here. It's actually in this, and it's, oh my gosh, not only does it smell just ridiculously, incredibly amazing, but it's also it works. So I've tested this on thousands of women over the years. And so what you're going to do, again, if you need to lower stress, this will work. So it's multifaceted. I love it on my wrists. I love it around the ankles. That's kind of the meridian and reflex point for your ovaries and your reproductive endocrine system. And then if you're looking for path of least resistance, it makes the most sense to put it right over the ovaries. Yeah. So 3 inches below the belly button, you just roll it over. So I love this story. My mom was visiting me, and she had really severe menopause. Perimenopause and menopause, it was just, and it's always an indicator, just a heads up. If you're struggling with PMS early in childbearing years, most likely perimenopause and menopause is going to be a little bit of a roller coaster ride. And so it's always important to try to get your ducks in a row before you move into that transition. Well, my mom not necessarily got her ducks in a row. And I am my mother's daughter, so she went into menopause, and it was a really, really challenging time for her. She was put on bioidenticals, and it had her in a really severe depression, very severe. And I remember she called me, it was in the winter time, it's about 3 years ago, and I was really scared for her. And finally she admitted to me that she was on these bioidenticals. I was like, it's time to move off of all that. So we put her on an essential oil protocol, a supplemental protocol, and one of the oils was very similar to this Superwoman Blend. And she was using it, I don't even know, maybe 5 to 6 times a day, and it's totally appropriate to use this blend 5 or 6 times a day, especially if you can feel things aren't working properly in the body. For me, I use this blend probably 3 times a day, 2 to 3 times a day, always morning and night. So I always put it right over the ovaries, and I'm amazed at how much better I feel when I'm using this oil consistently. So she was flying in, and from an hour flight, she wasn't coming far, and she had forgotten her blend, her Superwoman Blend. So she gets into my car, immediately sifts through my purse, doesn't say anything to me, gets into the car, pulls out my roller bottle, pulls down her pants, and rolls it over her ovaries, and she's just like, oh my goodness, thank God. And she was just so happy she had this oil. And she finally said, she's like, she basically told me she was keeping it for the weekend, that was now her Superwoman Blend for the weekend. But it's amazing. I get all these testimonials all the time about this blend. Women, just not that they need it, but you can tell it really does help to keep things balanced and moving all the time throughout the day. And so I love to share this blend.
That sounds I'm so excited. I'm going to make that blend as soon as we get off this call. I have all the oils. So I do have a question though. Would anybody need to be concerned? oh my gosh, I'm worried that maybe I don't want my hormone levels to change at all. Maybe they're okay, and could this hurt somebody if they're actually balanced?
Absolutely no. So I always talk to people. People ask me, can I be on bioidenticals? Can I be on synthetics and use this? Will it throw things off? No, not at all. Again, remember essential oils, and that's why we love this type of plant-based solution, is that it's designed to help create balance and synergy in the body. So no, your body will utilize what it needs, metabolize it, and move it through. So you're not going to create any imbalance in the body at all. So wouldn't be concerned with that. It's like the concept of eating blueberries. Your body's going to take from that blueberry what it needs. And I always think about that. Like I always ask people, like, what do blueberries do in the body? And people are like, oh, it's antioxidants. I'm like, yeah, but what is it doing? And no one really knows how to answer that question. I say, well, guess what? The body determines what happens with that blueberry. Maybe some of that blueberry goes to the neurons in the cortex. Maybe some of that blueberry needs to be supported by the immune system. Basically, your body's going to determine where those core nutrients, antioxidants, are going to go inside the system. The same kind of concept here with these wonderful oils. Your body's going to work out exactly what it needs, and then whatever it doesn't, you're going to metabolize and move on.
I love that. I've never heard that explanation, and I really like that. So that's perfect. I want you to tell me a little bit more about the book and kind of why you wrote the book and who it's for, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. So it is called The Smart Mom's Guide to Essential Oils. I have them all over the house right now. And the purpose of it was I really wanted to create, I knew that we want to shift the way that we think about how we take care of ourselves and our families. And a lot of people know that essential oils are a really critical piece to that, but always the concern when people get their oils is, what do I do with these? Where do I put them? How much do I use? How much do I use on my children? Can I overdose on essential oils? I hear that they're really powerful. And so the purpose of this book was really to empower women to create incredible solutions for themselves and their families seamlessly and easy. And so this book is divided in a couple different parts. One is about what are essential oils? How do I use them? Safety and precautions. How do I even know how to choose an essential oil? There's so many oils out there on the market that we know, you and I know, that are complete crap.
Yeah.
And so how do we begin to navigate what oil is a good oil for my family and what oil is not? And then it moves into...
Mariza, one quick question. When an oil says it's pure on the label and you find it at your big box drugstore or somewhere, just somewhere random, and it says it's 100% pure, does that necessarily mean anything?
Absolutely not. So Dr. Pappas is one of the most leading aromatherapists and scientists in the world of aromatherapy. And he says that all the time, that pure does not necessarily mean quality. Yeah. Where was the essential oil plant grown? Was it in its indigenous location? How was it distilled? So even if you've got a pure plant or a pure oil, there's so many other components that need to be taken into consideration. And so I go through a lot of that here in the book. It's so important to me. So how to judge a oil by its label, and what are the type of testing that you're looking for. So what I always tell all of my smart moms and smart women is do your due diligence. Today in our information age, you can pretty much look anything up. And so look up the company. Are they transparent about their testing? Do they do third-party testing? How are they indicating quality control? If you're not finding anything on their website about any of that, about that transparency about where the oil is harvested, what type of distillation is happening with their oils, and what type of testing is being used to determine the quality of these oils, then I would just put that oil back on the shelf. And then use your gut judgment. If it smells, it doesn't smell right. I picked up so many oils in natural health food stores, and I smelled them, and I'm just like, my spidey senses, they go off. I won't even clean with this oil. I won't make a cleaning product with this oil. But if you're especially going to use it for the type of things that I talk about in this book, we're talking about, wonderful, like, emergency solutions and cleaning products and personal care products and aromatherapy, how we're going to help to support calming, invigorating, focus, and concentration of mood. You don't want the wrong constituents or synthetic or adulterated constituents inside of your body. So be mindful of that, and I give you everything that you need to understand. So the first part is that, and then I go into pregnancy. I talk about pregnancy and oils. One of my favorite parts of this book is my top 25 list where I give you everything that you need. And then chapters 4 is everyday emergencies for immune system boosting to respiratory and digestive support, muscle and joint support, name it. And it's all broken down. I know you can't really see it, but there are actually dilutions for children, all age group dilutions. So it takes the guesswork out of all of it. And then I go into every cleaning recipe you could ever need, although I honestly don't feel like you need all of them. It's so crazy when you go down the cleaning aisle and there's like 1,000 products. And you're like, there's no way this is necessary for me. So all of the cleaning recipes, the personal care from tinted peppermint gloss to bubble bath to jasmine and honey face wash. It's just so much fun. The last 2 chapters are my favorite, and that is my self-care and wellness rituals, because we have to take care of ourselves and our bodies. And then my last and final chapter is on women's hormone health. Yeah. So that's the book in a nutshell.
It really is an incredible book. Like I said, I've read it. I've looked through the whole thing. There's amazing recipes, and it's just, you mentioned the word fun in there. You said it's just so fun, and it is. That's my favorite thing about essential oils, is I call it making my magic potions. And I really feel like alchemy, you're creating something out of just these parts, and then you're making something that's going to be, working in your body in these amazing ways. And it's just fun. It's very feminine. It's creative. It's awesome. So I love that we share this, and I'm really excited to tell my community about your book, and I hope everyone will go out and take a look at it. I do have a link for it in the video notes below, so that information will be there for you. And how can people connect with you if they want to? And also, was there anything that you want to wrap us up with?
No, that's about it. I wanted to definitely to just share about the book. I love, you're right, it is so fun. And it should be fun. It should be a fun experience to get to play and, like you said, be your alchemist. But we do address the concerns that I've heard a lot of people have over the years. Like, I'm a little scared to use them. Well, don't worry. It's all here. Yeah. If you want to check me out, Facebook is a great place. I do Facebook Lives all the time on fun topics. Right now, I'm doing the Smart Moms educational series. So Facebook Live, it's just Dr. Mariza on Facebook. My website, we always have blogs, and especially around this book right now, lots of fun recipes. And recipes are a major piece to all of that. I know I didn't get a chance to share a ton of them today, but I definitely just shower you with recipes all the time. Yeah. So those are 2 good places to come find me.
Oh, that is awesome. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited, and I wish you the best of luck with your book launch.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys, check the video notes below this video, the description of the video. All the links will be in there. And see you later, Mariza. I will talk to all y'all next time, and bye.